Today on Kite Bag Tour, we see the new additions to my vintage collection. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, and welcome back to Skyrider Limited. Today, on another Kite Bag Tour, I've been holding out on you. For the last bunch of videos, I've been showing you things that were residing in my collection for years and years, but I have been adding new kites. I've been adding some new vintage stuff for a while that I hadn't amassed enough that I felt it was the time was right for a video. You did see one of the new additions in the Cavalier video, where I showed you that one-of-a-kind history on with the drop shadow graphic. But I have 5 new kites I want to share with you today, and they are from a variety of manufacturers, and we're going to get to talk a little bit of history from the US, from the UK, and from France. Sit tight, I'm going to go grab the littlest kite in the group, and we're going to dive right in. So as you may have gathered at this point, I have a thing for all things stackable, stacker kites, and stacks. My second kite I ever flew alone as a sport kite was a graduate stack of Dynakites. So once upon a time, I actually had a 6-pack of these little guys. This is a Prism Micron. This is a first generation Seattle Micron. My original stack, unfortunately, got chewed up by my dog when he got down into our basement and decided to make a bed out of some kites, which was really too bad because these little guys were a lot of fun, and these Seattle-built Microns are now very, very rare. This one in particular is pretty special. This is a limited edition Micron that was done for the Berkley Kite Festival that unfortunately no longer happens over in the California Bay Area. This is a Micron that features some of that high as a kite tie-dye fabric that we've seen a few times through the channel. These were cool little kites, snap-in center tee, a lot like the neutrinos that Prism is producing today. All microcarbon frame and a little actually almost turbo-y bridle. It's got a little offset here in the bridle legs. A lot of fun, very fast, very twitchy. Took very, very quiet hands, or you could pretty much yank them right out of the sky. But a fun little kite. As the Microns got bigger and then the neutrinos got a little bit bigger, they did get a little more stable, a little more accessible. And now the neutrino is actually one of my favorite small kites on the market right now. Very accessible and easy to fly with some good and easy to understand bridle adjustment in it. It's a kite that pretty much anyone can pick up and play with. And Mark and company at Prism have done an excellent job of making it stackable easily. You can buy an add-on kite that has little clip hooks that hook it right up. At some point, I will get around to showing you guys my 12-pack of neutrinos. I deleted the metal hooks because my kites aren't coming apart. They are built up to be a stack, and I have it pretty well dialed in. You've seen the stack in a couple of videos, demos and such, but not up close on the channel. So at some point, we'll get a chance to get a good close look at it. So this little guy is in really good shape, and I watched on eBay for a good while and watched the price come down and come down, and finally I felt like it was something that I was willing to take a stab at, and I put an offer in, and here it is. And I'm really excited to have it. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it. I think I may hang it on a wall over my editing space with the tie-dyed Minergy that I also have. Just have a nice little collection of tie-dye sport kites right there. So we're going to keep going up in size here, and I'm going to go get the next kite, and you guys stay right there. Many of you might recall that in the earlier videos, I showed an ever-growing collection of early Tim Benson kites. It's sort of become a mission for me to assemble kind of one of everything of the history of Bensons. And so recently I got very lucky, and I got the opportunity to collect this guy. This is a Benson Fizz labeled Phantom. This is the Bantam Phantom, or the 3/4 Phantom. So I have a High Flyers label Phantom, which is from about 93, if I remember correctly. This one should be from 90 or 91. There's some great information out there. Some folks have compiled the history of the Phantoms, both on a couple of forums and on Facebook. This kite is all original, right down to this very of the time pencil holder that was used as a rub protector because a lot of early kites didn't have rub patches for that upper spreader. All instructal pultruded carbon, and with that very typical early Benson, Fizz Benson metal ring 3-point bridle. I cannot wait to get this one in the air. Unfortunately, these fittings have no stops and they are moving around a little. So before I get it out to fly, I do want to confirm the positions and maybe gift it some stops that I'm not entirely sure it would have had originally. And that's something I also want to look into confirming. It's all in ripstop and in this wonderful sort of tropical fade color of neon yellow, neon green, and teal on this black, which is really, really striking. What a great kite, and the Phantom and Bantam Phantom were so influential. Phantom's still in production. Tim is still making a version of the Phantom Elite, now framed in all nitro. But you know, super old school ballet, and this one a little more tricky for its day, but just so influential in a lot of shape and design that would come, and in places that we returned to too. Really. I can't wait to fly this thing. I just need to do a little bit more restoration and we'll be good to go. Uh, I'm really excited too, because as I showed you guys in one of the earlier videos with some of the Bensons and Fizzes that I've collected, this straight Benson logo is really early, almost 80s Tim. This Fizz logo comes about later in that 91, 92, 93 window, and is more known. Fizz Benson kites, which is a combined label, shows up more on kites like the Box of Tricks. So to see both of these labels together is from a very narrow window of Tim's production, and is really exciting for me because it really pinpoints this kite's age and sort of position in the timeline. With that in mind, I'm going to go grab the next kite, which is also a new addition to my Benson collection. Before we dive into this next one, just a quick correction. I realized as I was putting the Phantom away that the Bantam is actually framed in Beeman, which makes sense for the smaller kite. This, however, is framed in Structal for the most part. This is my new, to me, Fizz Benson Reflex. So there were 4 kites in this more or less graphic motif. You have the Reflex and the Fusion, which are the less known. The Matchbox, which is almost unobtainium, and then the bigger brother of the Matchbox, and probably the best known, the Box of Tricks. The Box of Tricks is super influential. Another kite of period with the Psycho and the Stranger, and another kite that wildly advanced trick flying in its day. Interestingly, though, that the Reflex and Fusion have been largely forgotten. Little lower aspect ratio than the Box of Tricks. And I think it's going to be good fun. I actually restored it and then put it away and haven't had a chance to come back to play with it. So I'm really looking forward to getting it up in the air. I said mostly structal, so it arrived to me with broken lower spreaders. So I didn't have any structal, and unfortunately structal is no longer in production. So this kite now has some Avia pultruded lower spreaders, but I made sure to make both so they'd have equal wall, and they are the original thickness. I also have replaced the original fittings, which were pretty degraded, with some APAs and TAPAs up top. I don't think it's going to have too negative an effect on the kite, and I'm really looking forward to getting it in the sky and finding out. Maybe even tonight, and if I do, I will be sure to drop some footage in right here. But if I don't get a chance to, we'll move on to the next kite. So for this next and last one, we're going to do a twofer. You guys have actually already met one of these kites in a flying video late last year. So I've talked about quite a bit about flying pairs with my father, and in the Cavalier du Ciel Kite Bag Tour, you saw our pairs Styxes, and you also saw some later STXs. I was lucky enough recently to get offered this pair of Styxes. These are original Styx comps, so they were G-Force and Skinnies, um, and they were well loved, but not too beat up. And they provided me with an opportunity. I have this great collection of original pairs kites, but I don't want to mess with those because they are our original pairs kites. Here I had an opportunity to update the kite in ways that people had done later and experience things that were done with the STX and some of those increased capabilities. So to both of these kites, I added tail weights, um, Ron Graziano's 3-point bridle, and yo-yo stops. Thank you to Robin Evans out in the Bay Area for providing me with the position for the yo-yo stops from his STX 2.3. Um, it did break my heart a little to have poke holes in the kite to put some yo-yo stops on, but the end result is a kite that evolved in capabilities. With Ron Graziano's 3-point bridle on it, the kite is a monster. I am trying to track down one more modification. Randy Greenway apparently at one point was flying STXs and had shortened the upper spreaders, which would suck the nose in and sort of speed up rotation on its back. The UL was great, great fun. I haven't actually had a chance to fly the vent. I'm hoping to do that soon as the winds have been really high lately. Um, I'm going to bring the vent up closer for you, and we can see some of the interesting modifications here. So the first one is the kite originally came with that turbo bridle, and here you can see this very wide set 3-point that Ron designed. Some of the other stuff, obviously the addition of the yo-yo stops, and something you can't see on screen, but there's a pretty healthy internal tail weight here. This kite also has an interesting feature that I hadn't seen before, and that's a drag brake. I threw it on here for video so you guys could see it installed, but I actually don't know if I'll ever use it. We never really needed additional braking with these kites when we were flying them for pairs, and I don't suspect that with the 3-point bridle it will be any different, but it is nice to have because it's a fairly rare accessory for the kites. Otherwise, they're still pretty much original, and I am still hunting a standard to complete the set, but hopefully I will track down one more standard Styx and be able to give it the same upgrades. I've taken to calling these Styx Evos because they're not STXs. It's very clearly a Styx sail, and yet they are beyond the original Styx and Styx comp capabilities and specifications. So that's these guys here, and I really hope you've enjoyed seeing these new additions to the collection as much as I've enjoyed adding them. I really appreciate everything, all the likes and follows and subscribing, and we will see you out there, Skyrider.